sure. I don't doubt for a second that they're better. I just don't know if it's better enough. Good morning to you. Good Monday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or hockey, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins in the same place that you found this. Dodgers 9, Pirates 2 yesterday in Los Angeles. That's pretty much how I thought that series was going to go. And to be honest, that's how I thought that whole trip was going to go. The way they looked upon leaving here, getting swept by the Guardians, there was no reasonable reason for anybody to expect anything better than, 1-5, 2-4. But they come home 3-3 from the trip. And Derek Shelton had the following to say in L.A. to the reporters on the scene, including Greg McAfee of DK Pittsburgh Sports.
We played well in 5 of the 6 games. Honestly, last night we're in a 4-4 game in the 8th, and today we didn't play well. We didn't pitch very well, and we only scored early. But I thought we played well the first 5 games of this trip, and I think it's something we got to build on.
It's something to build on. It's a step up from catastrophic. The Pirates remain, however, 11-18. That's a .379 winning percentage. That's better only than the unbelievably horrible Colorado Rockies, who are 4-23. That's not the measuring stick you'd want to have in your neighborhood. Thus, the Pirates, of course, are also last in the NL Central, third to last in run differential, and maybe the ugliest statistic of all, they're now 3-12 against opponents that are currently 500 or better. What's more, for the legit positives that took place out there against both the Angels and the Dodgers, notably and way atop that list, the pitching of Paul Skeens and Andrew Heaney, what you're left with is an offense that's gotten back to producing single-digit hit totals. Although, man, hats off to Andrew McCutchen with 4 hits yesterday, including a home run. Still, 20 years later, your guy. The back end of the bullpen continues to be a concern. Nice to see David Bednar bounce back. Not so nice to see Colin Holderman serve one up. Some nonsense out in the field, some nonsense on the base paths. It's still the same script. And since baseball, more than any other, is a game of take the largest possible sample size you can find, 11-18 and a .379 winning percentage. If you extrapolate that over a full schedule, you don't want to hear this number, do you? It's 61 wins and 101 losses. So what has to happen? Well, at the risk of stating the blatantly obvious, guys who aren't right have to get right. One of the things that I loved about Bednar's bounce back this week was that he was given the opportunity to do that. You can say what you want about Shelton's usage in certain situations. Notably, I'm sure everybody was cringing and running under a desk when Holderman came out to pitch right before he gave the game up. But at some point or other, you have to make a decision as manager. I can't win without this individual. It's not a matter of I can't win with him. I can't win without him. And I have to get him out there. And in Bednar's case, he showed some good stuff one outing and showed some superlative stuff the next time whenever he was challenged to come in and close. More storylines like that are needed, not less. You've also got to get a good handful of guys, not just 1 or 2, hitting at a clip like O'Neal Cruz and Kutchar, and like Brian Reynolds was and now isn't again. And as neat as it's been on occasion to see Manuel Valdez drive the ball, he's not going to be the answer for that over any longer term. Neither is someone like an Alexander Canario, who's now 2 for 26. What has to happen? Nick Gonzalez has to come back to health. He's supposed to be resuming baseball-type activities this week. He can't return soon enough. I don't know what's the line of demarcation between regularly mentioning Henry Davis or picking on him because he's young and whatever, but he's 3 for 23. And then there's Ke'Bryan Hayes, he's making some contact. He's hitting 235, but there's really not much in the way of any kind of pull. Out of those 23 hits he has, 4 of them are for extra bases. Most of them are just these little singles that he's poking into right field. And anyone who remembers the good, the dangerous version of Key can attest that when he's really on, he's ripping it. And I mean pulling it. He is letting it fly. That has not happened yet. That has not come close to happening yet. Similarly, not that he was expected to be a starter, but Adam Frazier's got 21 hits. 4 of his are for extra bases. He's got an 11-game hitting streak right now, and you can't remember any of the 11. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, I really probably shouldn't leave him out whenever I do this. It's just that he's batting so low in the order that I don't think about him as often, but he's at 280, 337 for batting average and on-base percentage, so he's been okay. Here again, though, virtually no pop to what he's done. No home runs, 4 extra base hits out of his 26 hits. Other spare parts, Jared Triolo's batting 171, Tommy Pham's batting 184. You get the idea. There have been, to reiterate here and to not make this all negative, they had a decent trip. There have been some positives along the way. But for the most part, it's been the same positives and the same negatives, with the tiny sample size exception of Bednar appearing to be back. Next up, here at home, are the Cubs, who are no longer surprising anyone in being 17-12 and atop this division. They made some really sharp moves over the offseason. There were people who, as far back as the winter, were forecasting that the Cubs would be one of the better teams in the majors, not just in the division. Maybe Bubba Chandler comes up for this series. Maybe that injects a little bit of fun into the proceedings. Maybe Heaney, who's going to get one of those starts, takes one. But at some point or other, for all of this to mean something toward the 2025 season, which I will remind you is supposed to be the one where they begin winning, it's just going to take a lot more. When we come back, J1Q.
It's Gun Storage Check Week. Help prevent unwanted access to your firearms. No one wants their unsecured gun to be used in an accident, a suicide, or a crime. Use lockboxes, safes, and locks to secure your firearms. Learn more at gunstoragechek.org. That's gunstoragechek.org. Brought to you by NSSF, the Firearm Industry Trade Association.
Today's J1Q, and it's one of the better ones we've gotten in some time. It comes from Mike, who says, DK, now that there appears to be no physical injury excuse, can we finally admit that the Pirates made yet another major misstep in giving Ke'Bryan Hayes a long-term contract? His back issues apparently are no longer a front-burner issue. He continues to make weak contact, hit for a low average in OPS, and demonstrate daily that his elite defense cannot possibly compensate for his woeful bat. If we're going to rightfully bash Ben Cherington for his work through year 6, it's time to stop giving Hayes a pass as well. It's his 5th full season. I've seen enough. Mike, it's amazing that I can agree with almost everything you said, except for your larger premise. And please allow me to explain that. Key is not hitting as well as he can. I touched on that briefly in the opening segment before I even saw your question. He's not making enough solid contact. He's not pulling the ball. He's not even necessarily swinging the way he can. When he does, you will not wonder about it. You will see that ball getting to left field, and it will get there in a hurry. That's not to say that he doesn't additionally have power the other way. He actually has shown a lot of that whenever he's on. He's not on. He's poking the ball. He's poking it. And those of you who've been with me for a while will know that Key and I talk a lot about his health. And he is doing fine. He is maintaining the back better than ever, and he is, for what it's worth, smiling when he talks about it for the first time I can ever recall. But here's where we're going to depart. That contract at that time was exactly what the franchise needed to be doing. Don't forget that Key's contract was the first one under this management, and of course under this ownership, correlated to this management, where there was a long-term commitment to, forgive the pun, a key piece of their future. That had to begin somewhere. And between the bat that Key had shown to that point, and he was an exit velocity monster in the minors, he just happened to hit the ball with very little launch angle, so it was just going right at infielders or right at outfielders on line drives. At the time that the contract was signed by both parties, the overwhelming consensus, not just within Pittsburgh's fan base, but around Major League Baseball, was that Key got hosed, that he sold himself out, that he could have gotten a lot more had he just hung on. All right. So Key doesn't live up to the volume of the contract. He's still, and there are metrics to support this, arguably not just the best defensive third baseman in baseball, but the best defensive player in baseball. There actually is tangible worth in that. Runs that he saves you, pitches that he saves your staff. And he's not horrible at the plate. You know, he still does something for you there. He's not like he's batting 150 and striking out all the time. He's not dying there. But my break point on this is that his contract led to Brian Reynolds getting extended, and Reynolds' contract led to Mitch Keller getting extended. And those things have to happen. They aren't all going to hit. They aren't all going to look like, wow, this is steal of the century. And that's going to be true of the teams that have a gazillion dollars in their payroll like the Dodgers, and it's going to be true of teams like Pittsburgh. So what I'm saying, Mike, is that you can't have it both ways. You can't say they need to be signing these guys. They need to keep their guys. And then when they do it, say that one's a bust. Fire him. They're not all going to hit. So on this count, I have no criticism, none of Cherington, and certainly none of Bob Nutting. They signed their guy when he was hitting and when it appeared correctly that he would be one of the better defenders in the sport. He's still here. He's still giving it his all. And you can only hope that there will be more such signings or more cause for such signings in the near future. Like, let's say, for example, with O'Neal Cruz. You might not hit on O'Neal either. You never know with him. But you gotta try. You gotta try. I appreciate the question. I really do. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Pirates. We're going to be back with another one of these tomorrow.